let's get started for the afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome here to Harvard. We are excited because we figured out, Bastien, Lynn, and myself, that there's so much crisis talk about Europe, but actually there's a much better side of Europe, a beautiful side, a glamorous side, the side of fashion and luxury. So we have the honor of having Professor Tomke lead the discussions. He himself is an authority in the field of innovation and competitive advantage. And with no further ado, I'll pass the word to him.
Great. Thank you very much. Welcome. Welcome to our special session here. You can clap later. It's okay. You know, it's a great honor to basically to introduce people here. You know, I had an epiphany this morning. You know, I was sitting at home and I was telling my wife that I need to go to work today. And she looked at me and she said, I didn't know that professors have to work on Sundays. And I said, well, it's not really work. I have to just go to HBS and I have to introduce the CEO of Jimmy Choo. And her eyes lit up. And she said, You are going to introduce the CEO of Jimmy Choo? You haven't been to a shoe store since we got married. So this was my epiphany this morning. I said, at least in my house, the brand of Jimmy Choo is worth a lot more than my brand. So we're sort of, what I'd like to do, so it's wonderful. We've got Pierre Dennis here, CEO of Jimmy Choo. Pierre has been what I would call an amazing insider here in this whole industry. He spent about 20 years with LVMH. He knows the industry inside out. And what he's going to do is he's going to spend the first few minutes kind of defining the industry, kind of sharing some of these insights with us. And then we'll switch over to the panel, and I'll introduce sort of the panel on the topic right after that. So, Pierre, it's all yours.
Thank you. Oops. So, yes. So, first of all, it is definitely a pleasure to come to Boston and get to talk to all of you. So today is going to be about Europe and luxury. What is the asset? Why Europe? And why are we successful with luxury goods in Europe? We will have a beautiful panel. We got to meet each other and get to know each other already. So it will be probably very interesting talks. I think to sum up a bit our discussion, I will try to give you some speech about the luxury industry altogether, not only Jimmy Choo, really the full comprehensive view of the luxury industry. I think secondly, we will discuss together about what are the consumer, which in luxury we call clients, what are the clients thinking about the luxury industry, and which country, what's the origin of those products. And finally, I will take you to the world of Jimmy Choo to see how we at Jimmy Choo apply these beautiful concepts into our world. Just to say that I moved to London in July from Paris, yes, before I was living in Hong Kong and before I was living in Denmark. And so I've been traveling a bit. And we practice Europe at Jimmy Choo every day, in the sense that in the office, where there is about 100 people at the office, totally there is 1,000 people at Jimmy Choo, it's probably 20% of French, 25% of Italian, 30% of British, and we do have some Americans. So we do practice Europe and a bit more because I think luxury is very much of a global world. So now I will first try to show you a little video to spice up the debate.
Shoemaker in the world. As a man who regularly buys Jimmy Choo, because I appreciate female shoes. Jimmy Choo is the best in the world right now.
So with that in mind, you can see my speech is going to be a very political speech. And of course, so what is the luxury market and how does it work? I think there is a slide before. There is not. Okay, so in theory, the first world of luxury, the luxury is actually divided into 4 big categories. There is the ready-to-wear, which is about, the 4 categories are very even. So there is perfume and cosmetics, there is ready-to-wear, and there is what we call accessories, and finally there is hard luxury, which is all about watches, diamonds, rings. These 4 categories are in reality very evenly shared. So ready-to-wear, men and women, is about 23-25% of the business. So is the accessory. Perfume and cosmetics is a bit more, and the hard luxury is about 20%. So really, luxury, it's 4 big categories, which are having their specificities. They are different. Some are very seasonal, like the ready-to-wear. Some are, of course, more investments when you want to buy a beautiful ring and definitely a watch. And then within the luxury, we even split that a bit further. We split that into various markets, which starts, first of all, by the most absolute niche brands. And how do we define, actually, this segmentation? It's very much all about distribution, first of all, how you access those products. It's, of course, all about price and quality, craftsmanship. And it's, of course, all about marketing strategy. So the, let's say, more exclusive you are, the more aspirational you can be. And so there is the absolute luxury to the aspirational, which is brands like Gucci, for example, and accessible luxury, which is Bali. For us, Bali is accessible luxury. So it moves from, in the shoes, a business of 280 pounds to 600-700, and it can go to a few thousands. Ah, that was the one. Okay. So this is indeed how the market was actually being split into the 4 categories. Yes? Which one? So the big question is what's happening to luxury and its evolution. Is luxury totally not depending upon the economic evolution, or is luxury somehow connoted to the economic evolution? And I think the great conclusion is that luxury is actually moving on with the economic growth, and has always been. And you can see that there are various phases in the economy. There is some growth from 95 to 2001. There was, of course, the crisis from 2001 to 2003. Then it got better. Then there was the big plunge in 2008. And now we are back to somehow a positive territory, but we don't know really for 2013. So the luxury has been following, actually, those movements. But the interesting part of luxury, and that's why it's driving the attraction of everyone, is because luxury is always performing as a business better than the economy across the board. And that makes the business of luxury altogether one of the sectors where everybody, for now, is investing in all possible ways. Yeah. So what's the size of our market? The size of the luxury goods altogether is estimated at 212 billion euros, which is a pretty substantial market. As I said, it includes everything from the watch and jewelries to the perfume and cosmetics, accessories, and of course, ready-to-wear as well. And the other interesting part is to see how it developed. Where did it develop? So luxury has, of course, its roots in Europe. And you can see that Europe remains the largest market for luxury. It's actually more than 30%. But we have seen as well that Japan, which historically was actually one of the key markets of luxury, Japan has been very stable in the last 10 years, following the economy of Japan. On the other side, we have seen a staggering development of Asia. And really, Asia has captured now a position where they are the second market for luxury goods altogether. Now, what I'm interested in, of course, more especially, or what I'm always liking to talk, is anything about accessories, because it's the world of Jimmy Choo. So the world of Jimmy Choo is accessories, and so it's all about leather goods, sunglasses, shoes, of course. And so what's happening to this beautiful world is you can see that it's definitely a growing world. And Asia and Europe are actually in accessories the two driving force now of the luxury markets. And even if we go to shoes, because that's the beauty of the business, shoes is actually the fastest growing business across all possible categories of luxury. And you can see that it's outperforming the average growth of the market. It's performing the growth of the luxury business. And the question is, why? And there are several reasons. I think a first big point which has to be said is, are luxury brands necessarily brands which are having 300 years of craftsmanship history? And the answer is not necessarily. Shoes has been a good demonstration that you can actually establish new brands. Jimmy Choo is a good example. We started in 1996, but there are many other businesses which has been launched. I think a first question in luxury is the notion of innovation, which I'm sure we will have to rediscuss at a later point. But it shows that when you have a great innovation, great innovative products, your brand does not necessarily have to have 300 years of craftsmanship. What has been also really interesting is the evolution of retail. Where is the retail going on? And in our field, shoes, we have seen massive transformation. Department stores have really captured the field of shoes. It has been a fantastic investment. Each department store is planning to do what they call in various ways a shoe heaven, a shoe paradise, a shoe whatever. And it's really what has been moving on in the last years. I think in the great success, Saks has been opening in New York in 2007, a really fantastic floor. There has been Selfridges. Recently, Isetan just reopened in January a new floor, totally. So it shows that it's all about innovation also in retail format. And I think this is also another thing which is really important in our industry, is how you connect actually the retail to your innovation. And as a matter of fact, because I've been discussing about Asia, Europe, and everything, but what you should know is that in the US, the department stores, which is Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, Saks, are taking a large share of their revenue and definitely profit, for example, with shoes. Actually, it's 25% for Neiman Marcus, and it's 13% for Saks. And you can see it already in Boston, because you can have the pleasure to go and visit the beautiful shoe floors in Neiman Marcus, Saks, and around the Boston. So really, luxury is at the heart also of the department store business. But it's not only that. We, of course, have our own stores. Now, to focus on the big question of the day, which is actually, is Europe the driving force for the luxury? I think the interesting part is that we have to ask first the customer, which in luxury, as I said, we call clients. And I think the big clients right now, you will see why, are our friend Chinese. So what do they think about the perception of luxury and countries of origin? So it's kind of very remarkable, and I think it will give you some highlights. So our friend Chinese think that if it's a matter of luxury clothes, the country of origin is France, with 37%, and Italy. These are the two countries which are dominating the luxury clothing industry. If it's bags, it's again all about France and Italy. It's more than half of the market. Shoes is more balanced. Shoes, it's all about Italy, France, UK, and even the US. So shoes is a more balanced luxury field. Then afterwards, what's amazing is that there you don't have to be, well, it's simple. If you want to produce watches, you have to be Swiss, because 70% of the Chinese think that luxury watches are Swiss. So that is really an amazing feature of this survey. Jewelry is very spread. Perfume and cosmetics is French. And amazingly, luxury cars are German. So that's the feature. This is a real survey. This is actually a survey done by some real, all those numbers are coming from either luxury analysts or companies like McKinsey or Ben. So they are really kind of serious analysis. And that, I think, is taking you to the country of origin. Where is luxury perception coming from? So then, for now, I've been discussing about the markets. So where do you find or where do you buy luxury? Well, I told you that it was all about Europe first, that Asia was growing. But then we also have to know that a lot of clients are buying when they are traveling. As a consequence of that, there is the market, which is on the right side, but there is also the customers, which are the clients, on the left side. And actually, the largest now category of clients in the world for luxury products are and have become Chinese. They are the number one, just followed by our friends from Europe. But in reality, you can see that Americans are very close as well. So we are now living in a world for luxury which is very global because our clients are very shared in between Japan, China, the US, and Europe. But with all that, I think what's interesting is, again, I'm not making all about China, but it's where we have everybody is focalizing and putting a lot of research. And so at the end of the day, this also defines this world of luxury in a way, the preferences of everyone for tourism. So if you are Chinese and you're wondering, where should I go on vacation? This is what you're thinking. So your number one country is you want to go to France. Alors, of course, we have the Eiffel Tower and a few other things, but I think luxury part is part of our key component. And it's very much the same when you are discussing about Japan, America. I think the only place which is probably having no shopping is Maldives. That, and I think we need to think about that when I'm looking at this chart. So, just to give you a few words on Jimmy Choo, because it's a small introduction speech. Jimmy Choo, the company was created in 1996. So it's a new company, and as I was saying, it's all about innovation, all about getting luxury craftsman products which are interesting, inspiring. We really made a success thanks to the US market. And as a matter of fact, very few know that Jimmy Choo is a British brand. Most thinks it's an American company. And we like that. As I said, country of origin has an interesting point, but I think you can elaborate on that and be a bit more global. We became very famous probably thanks to the red carpet appearance, which is always a specialty of Jimmy Choo. You always have the red carpet with those beautiful ladies wearing high heels. And we moved on to bags in 2003, and we continued so that we are now a global accessory brand, and we consider ourselves to be a global luxury lifestyle brand. That's what it's all about. So it's everything in our world except ready-to-wear. And we even launched a perfume which is really doing very well in the UK and in the US as well. So now, what is our business? Because we are not here to talk about business, but just to give you some highlights. I think, yes, that's very interesting. Because actually, that's the most interesting chart. Is why would you buy luxury? And I'm sure that if you would do this chart for all the possible brands around the table, whether it is Dolce & Gabbana, Montblanc, etc., I'm sure you would find exactly the same perception. The perception is that for Jimmy Choo, we are, of course, considered as a sexy brand, and we like that. We want to keep that. Probably more seductive than sexy, but it's what we are. We are stylish, a bit extravagant. Voilà. That's why I have Lynn. And what is luxury all about? I think the most important is to make you feel good. And frankly, in the present world, it's probably what we need at first. And the second thing is to make me special. And everybody wants to be special. And also make me confident. And that's what we are trying to achieve as a mission statement. So this is why these values are very important. I think beyond the origin, where am I coming from, Europe, US, or etc., I think it's really the values of the brand and the strong brand identity, which I think is the strong driver of the energy of luxury. This is a woman, so she's working in New York. She's kind of confident. It was her advertising for spring, summer. Yep. And just to wrap up a bit on business. We have 150 stores, plus actually 200 department stores worldwide. And we have a sales of 250 million pounds last year, which is about 300 million euro, which is about 400 million US. That's the business of Jimmy Choo. So before giving the stage to everybody for the panel, I would love to, after those beautiful, elegant people dressed in all possible parties, just so that you know, show you what we are doing in a luxury brand across the year in all the various countries to animate what our business. Voilà, les vendanges Paris. So that's what we are doing to animate a luxury lifestyle brand. Something has to happen each month, each day, as a matter of fact, in the retail and across all the possible countries in all the possible shops. Thank you.
After seeing all this, I will definitely have to buy a second pair of shoes.
I would be happy.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. What can other businesses learn from European luxury? That's the overall topic of the panel. We've got some amazing panelists here. We've got Frederica Mattioni from Dolce & Gabbana. Thank you for coming. We've got Jan-Patrick Schmitz from Mont Blanc. And we've got Oliver Pennington from Bang & Olufsen. What we've asked them, each of the panelists sort of to do, we've asked each of them to share with us some of the insights about sort of how they're thinking about their business as being European, sort of the global opportunities and challenges. And so we're all going to go through it. Each of them will take about sort of 7-8 minutes or so. And then after we're through this, we'll have lots of time for Q&A. And hopefully we'll have a vigorous discussion about all the things that we've just seen here. Frederica, can I ask you to get started? Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, professors and expert politicians, most of all students. And on behalf of the designers, Mr. Domenico Dolce and Mr. Stefano Gabbana and the Dolce Gabbana Company, let me first thank Harvard Business School and Harvard Kennedy School for inviting me at the European Conference 2013 with the opportunity to discuss about luxury, and thank to the teams who made an excellent job in facilitating this organization. Very well done. I'm the president for USA and Canada of Dolce Gabbana, a group that create, develop, produce, distribute, and promote for men, women, and juniors. I actually have my little son here representing the junior. Fine apparel, which actually from the chart you can hardly probably see, but I will tell you about almost 40% of the total wholesale revenues is our core business, and the leather goods, which is our greatest opportunity, since it accounts not even the 20% of the wholesale business, and the frames, sunglasses, fragrances, makeup, which are our licensed product made in partnership with two leading companies such as Luxottica and Procter & Gamble, and which account for more than 40% in the wholesale business, but 7% as a consolidated revenues. And our fine watches and jewelry recently launched. The Dolce Gabbana headquarters are based in Milan, Italy, where we create and promote products which we distribute in the 220 monobrand store worldwide, and the many multi-brand doors in the over 100 countries in the world. And 55% of the business come from Europe, while the rest is done in USA, Asia, and the rest of the world. Our total employees are 3,414 people. One of the questions from Mr. Stefan Tomke, it was, what is unique? Why Dolce & Gabbana is unique? And we are unique for sure for our strong identity and DNA. The group was founded, the brand was founded only in 1985, so we're both young.
True.
And,
Absolutely.
not just by age. And he's really funny, right? He can do another job. Anyway, and was founded by the two designers, Mr. Domenico Dolce, who come from the heart of the Italian Baroque Sicily, coming from a tailor family, gifted by a tailor ability. He made his first trouser at 6 years old. And Mr. Stefano Gabbana, who was born in the industrial modern city of Milan and studied graphic art. Being different but complementary, they create style that reconcile the contrast, luxury and street, innovation and tradition, excess and rigor, dream and reality, creativity and tailoring. In our company, the two designers and the brand are the same things, and that gives an added value in the market, because we have and we benefit from a strong drive and leadership, and which allow the company to achieve greatest results in a very short period of time. The designers in the industry are still named the boys. They are actually young, they are in their 50s, and we have still many opportunities to take in the market. Our DNA is also unique. Sicily, sensuality, and sartorial ability. Sicily is the origin of the market, of the brand, and represent the roots of the brand. It is expressed in the collection by the reinterpretation of the code, of the tradition, of the art of Sicily, which is the classic mythology, the Baroque, the neoclassicism, the Byzantine mosaic, and the sensuality is an attitude of style which make feel any man and woman more self-confident. And it is expressed in our collection by the endless research of the perfect fitting for any shapes. In fact, the fitting is one of the key elements of the success of Dolce & Gabbana that makes our clothing line better than many other in the market. And the sartorial ability, the tailoring, which is the background of the designer, which is part of the Italian tradition, and it is expressed in our collection with the maniac attention to detail, to the handmade finishing, and to the special decoration. You can actually see two of our expression of our collection, and you can see that this dress is actually inspired by a painter from our Renaissance, and of course the tailoring for a man, an example of our tuxedo, which we call Martini in this specific fit. Now, Dolce & Gabbana.
I had to touch it, I'm sorry.
Everybody can, so you can really feel
exactly.
the luxury by touching. The touching is the most important moment.
Yes.
Thank you. So, one of the topic here is are we considered European? Yes, we are. The question also is we are European, and we most of all Italian. 74% of our employees are based in Europe. 62% are based in Italy. Not only our headquarters are in Milan, but also our two production facilities are based in Italy. And for the expertise, we have in two different areas those production facilities. One is in the north, where the area of the textile and fabrics is, and to produce the fine apparel, and one is in near Florence, where the area of leather and tannery is to produce the leather goods. And 98% of our materials come from Italy, and we work with 150 small and medium company that have an expertise and specific technique to create this luxury product. The European Cultural and Creativity Industrial Alliance actually says that 70% of the worldwide luxury goods come from Europe, which represent 3% of the GDP and employ 1.5 million people. And they foresee that in 2020 there will be 900 billion made by luxury products coming from Europe, and will employ 2.2 million people. So for sure the luxury is European, and Dolce & Gabbana is a European brand. Europe is essential for Dolce & Gabbana, for its know-how, heritage, and culture. Although there are several challenges in Europe, we have also many opportunities. Not only in China, for sure China is an important market, but also in the non-mature market like Middle East and Latin American, and last but not least, the mature markets such as the United States and Canada, where a study for Barclays Capital say that the spending per capita for the Americans in luxury products is $230, while for the Japanese is $290, and for the European is $300. So there is still room to grow there. Regarding the industry challenges, we have to say that, of course, they are vast. Besides the well-known challenge of the counterfeiting problem, which hit the margin of luxury groups, there are other areas of concern. One is the trade protection in the emerging markets, where there are high barrier for high-end products. The limited visa entry for the non-European people, which eager consumption normally boosts the sales, and of course, especially for Dolce & Gabbana, the shortage of talent and workers, because in the worldwide marketplace, where the consumer is bombarded by products and brands with the absolute consequence of a flat offer and services, we would like to maintain our uniqueness by nurturing the craftsmanship, the passion, the tradition, and the ability of the artisan. And without regulation from the European community and Italy in particular of this area, we will lack of artisan in the future. For decades, fashion solved all their issue by themselves. Also because the luxury company were not seen as part of the solution for continent's growth agenda. Also because the politicians were far away from understanding our system and our peculiar needs. So before start regulating this industry, the first point in the European agenda should be understanding and learning our peculiar system and not using or changing this system, but maintaining its integrity, which made for every European brand the unique appealing worldwide.
Thank you very much, Federica. Wonderful. And Patrick?
Yes, so my name is Jan-Patrick Schmitz. I'm the president and CEO of Montblanc North America. I've joined the company about 20 years ago. I've served the company and worked in Asia for 6 years in Japan. I'm a member of the International Executive Committee. I'm sitting on the board of directors of Steiff Group, which is a group busy in producing in the area of toys as well as automotive. And I'm on the board of directors of German-American Chamber of Commerce. So part of the briefing was that we should, as we have seen, bring some products to introduce our brand. So if I would be in Harvard, and if I need to show to any of you who is a purveyor of fine writing is, I think you students should ask for your tuition back. Montblanc was established in 1906 in Hamburg, Germany, as a maker of writing instruments. And I say that specifically because that was at a time where it really was an instrument, a tool which we needed to use to write, because that was pre-computer and any modern communication and technology. And it has grown over the years until the late 1980s into a good pen maker. Sometimes I like to call us a pen peddler. Until the 1980s came along and our business model was severely threatened because communication changed. All of a sudden, people didn't need a pen to write and do their communication, and the company was by and large at risk. And we had to take a decision on where we want to go with Montblanc, and we took a decision to go upstream. So we came from a more commodity type business into the arena of luxury. Now, there was some concern when we did our briefing that the panelists would not answer some of the questions, so we wouldn't have a lively discussion. One of the question, probably the key question, was, does it help or does it harm to be a European brand if you're in luxury? Now, here's my statement. I am hard-pressed to think about any luxury, sustainable global luxury brand who is not European. I cannot think of any sustainable European global luxury brand which is not of European roots. Might it be French, Italian, German, British. Now, the question obviously is A, why is that? And B, if that's so, does the luxury industry live in a bubble and is really not relevant to the rest of the world, or are we as well potentially even a role model for some of the non-premium retailers? Now, part of why, in my opinion, all sustainable luxury brands are European, it has first to do with the educational system. We still have until this day the apprenticeship system where people actually learn a craft, not like we know our plumbers when they take their hammer into their hand, we fear for our bathroom. Now, these are, craftsmanship which you learn over 2-3 years. You actually make a master degree. You actually carry a title. And we maintain that for all sorts of arts and crafts. Think about it, for us doing writing instruments, try to find a nib grinder in North America that don't exist, because that craft basically is extinct. So that's one part of it where, many other countries around the world simply don't have that educational system and provide these craftsmanship. Second is, I believe, the business model. If you look at the business model in terms of luxury, there are a lot of things which are unique to luxury, but my second argument for today would be, I think a lot of industry could learn from that. Now, one of the things which we do in luxury is we are selecting our customer very carefully. Now, if you look at probably, if you're, many of you are in business school, that's why we're here, I guess. You all learn is, the more product you can sell to the more people, and if you actually can even produce that at the best possible price, you have a wonderful business model because you sell a lot and you have a relatively low cost of goods sold, so you have a good gross margin, a little bit of operating expenses, and you have a great P&L, right? Now, luxury operates very differently. Now, a lot of people think luxury is all about high price point. This is actually the end result. The price is almost a byproduct, even though we obviously focus about that a lot. The question is, how can you command that price? And if you look at your relationship between costs and pricing and sales and turnover, is what really is a variable cost. And a lot of companies who are not in the luxury field think my price is set by the market. And I'm sure you have heard that as well. The market defines the price, and so my variable really is a cost base. Now, luxury thinks different. So one thing we do is we define very carefully who our customer is. And we actually have a very precise, razor-sharp, in fact, narrow target. Now, luxury probably is more targeted than most other industries. And my argument would be, what can we learn for non-luxury brands is yes, you look at a bigger target audience within the group of consumers in luxury, but still define it very, very precisely, because with that, you actually create something which is called aspiration. And aspiration is not unique to luxury. Aspiration is and applies to any given product and category. So we're very selective about that. The second thing is we're looking at the value and the experience chain. Now, if you look at Montblanc, I think you see it on the back. We used to be, when we were a functional brand, when we were a commodity-driven brand, we basically manufacture in Hamburg, Germany. By the way, we never moved. All our writing instruments, pens are still made in Hamburg, Germany, exclusively, while the other products are uniquely European made, either in France or in Italy, or Switzerland for our timepieces. We produce our products and we create our products based on the idea of bringing some uniqueness, number one. Number two is back when we go back 20 years ago, we basically exported it and left it to distributors and to partners to basically sell the product. Now we're fully integrated today, vertically integrated. We produce, we design, we manufacture, and we sell our product. Today we have 360 boutiques around the world. We do the majority of our business in our own distribution, and actually the non-controlled distribution today is very, very small. Now what do? We control the experience chain. So that is very critical, and that is also critical past the purchase point, because what is true for luxury, my argument as well to you would be, should be true for so many other retailers. So many retailers and brands are looking at, I want to make that one sale and then I move on, I made my sale. Now to me, one sale doesn't matter. To me, the next 20 sales matter. And that is basically where luxury is very, very good. We, understand customer relationship management. We actually understand who our customer is, what the customer wants, and we see whether or not there is a match with our brand. That is, in my eyes, really retail 101. If you go back, 30 years, that's how any retail in America worked. Today, we look at it as something unique, which luxury does, even though my argument would be this is really something which is just good retailing. Now, looking a little bit ahead from where we are, one of the biggest threats considered for the luxury world over the last 5-6 years was the internet. Now, we are going through a retail revolution right now. We, in terms of the premium industry, was very concerned because we had, obviously, the bricks, we had the stores, we have a lot of fixed assets and capital, employed in our own stores and our inventory. Now, what does it mean to our business model? Because you heard earlier from my colleagues that, the tactile experience, touching it, feeling it, if you have perfume, or if you have leather, smelling it, these are parts of why you buy a product. And by the way, you all buy luxury products not for yourself, but for your peers, for your social environment. So hence, if you design actually products and sell them, you understand your customer, but more importantly, you got to understand your customer in his or her social environment. So the internet today, in my eyes, actually is for luxury no more a threat, because technology allows us to create an experience. It is a much bigger threat, in my personal opinion, here's the next statement, for the non-luxury industry, because most non-premium brands who basically see their price given by the market and they're reacting through their costs, see a downward spiral, and they actually create their products into a commodity. You go into any mall or any street in America today, and I'm telling you, I go in a mall, I see the first 3 stores, I close my eyes, I can tell you who the next 25 are, because every single mall looks the same, because we lost the idea of giving retail experience. So I believe the internet is a much bigger threat for brands who are in the commodity business, because that you're much better buying the internet because you have a much higher transparency on pricing and you have a better product availability. Lastly, before I close, looking at luxury and looking forward, biggest challenges. China, you heard earlier, China is a booming market for luxury because of the prestige, the image, they appreciate our products. Now China will continue to be, in my eyes, a major market, if not the biggest. For many brands, it is the biggest market in the world. However, if you look at it, it is worrying and should be worrying for a lot of brands because the economic systems of China and the political system of China are not compatible. So I believe we will see over the next medium term a disruption, as we already see today in luxury. I believe it will prolong for a while. Hence, we will have to look at the world and at the map, and I think we will see a lot of change and shifts, and we are well advised in our industry as well as in so many others to keep, one of the basic rules of business which we've learned is keep your eggs in many baskets, hedge your risks, because if you put it all in one market, you're running a big risk of losing your game. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Oliver?
Thank you. My name's Oliver Pennington. I'm president and owner-operator of Bang & Olufsen in the New England region. So I'm speaking a little bit on behalf of a dealer and also as a person that has experienced luxury through his clients and personally. For those of you not familiar with Bang & Olufsen, we're a Danish electronics company celebrating over 85 years of manufacturing high-quality audio, video, and home integration solutions, as well as a very successful new car audio division. In addition to numerous technology achievements, we have over 22 pieces in the Museum of Modern Art permanent collection for industrial design. For those reasons and more, Bang & Olufsen is a truly unique company in that it embodies Danish sensibilities and how both technology and design should work in one's life. In the past, electronics were designed to be the black box that became standard form for so many years. How they work with other things in your home, both technically and aesthetically, was not their goal or desire. Simply horsepower and quantity of buttons made for a compelling selling story. B&O, however, did not feel that quality lied only in the stats. Truly understanding how one uses technology in their lives was the answer they strived for. Steve Jobs, for example, was a huge fan of this aspect of B&O, and it was no coincidence that the Jog Shuttle, which is a spin-and-click navigation method B&O developed for our cordless phones over 20 years ago, became the breakthrough design technology that helped lead iPod to instant success. I would say Bang & Olufsen has always been a part of the European luxury segment, but I have found the luxury tag meaning is slightly different from one culture to another. Having been raised by a mother that is German and a father American, I have seen how these luxuries are perceived on both sides of the Atlantic. In the home sector, for instance, the average home is much smaller in Europe than here in the US, so making good use of that limited space is an important decision, be it in the architecture, the furniture, or in our case, the electronics. Often, since greater attention to detail is needed, a higher cost for such things is also more accepted in Europe than in the US. And since a higher cost is required, better care and longer life cycles for those items also occur. As a child visiting Germany, visiting my family in Germany, discussions on things like cars and clothes were often summed up that US items were throwaway items and Europeans were built to last. Ironically, I don't believe my German side of the family actually saw these items so much as luxury, but rather conscious decisions to choose quality over quantity. Here in the US, though, the driving force for those same brands is a bit different. They are, in fact, luxury, and they are a statement of who you are in a different way. Bang & Olufsen, I feel, falls in line with those perceptions both in Europe and the US. In Denmark, for instance, you would be hard-pressed to find a home without at least a Bang & Olufsen phone in it. It isn't as though Danish people on average are all luxury consumers, it is more that they appreciate the principles of which European items are uniquely made. The European luxury tag, of course, holds positive and negative attributes. For Bang & Olufsen, articles by the press are on the luxury aspect and thereby high price. instead of the technical attributes that merit its value. In fact, most reviewers we know for a fact have never even actually heard or seen the product. So for us in the technology field, we are often not given a chance to justify the price, as the luxury price is the bigger story in the current economic climate. On the flip side of that, people that appreciate quality and look beneath the hood are pleasantly surprised and feel stronger than ever about the purchase, as it is both a luxury image and a set of technical attributes that they appreciate. So as we see it, with constant and instant comparisons to social media, luxury needs to be more than a name. Building truly unique items in every aspect of the word is critical for growth and to hold on to the luxury title. Further, in Bang & Olufsen's perspective, there is a new generation of luxury consumers that are conscious of how they spend money, but when they see something superior, will pay the higher price. To reach this new younger consumer, Bang & Olufsen has launched a sub-brand named B&O Play. In fact, there are a few items over there. These are smaller, high-quality items that interact with things like smartphones and at a price point that is luxury in its segment, but also at a price point that if someone feels it's important, will choose to spend money on that as opposed to maybe a luxury pair of shoes. Our hopes hopefully both. Our hopes are to grow the life cycle of this new customer to appreciate the brand further over the years and graduate to the full Bang & Olufsen line. So far, the new brand is doing very well in both creating new customers and brand awareness. B&O Play is a pivotal part of the plan to grow the business into Asia, with the recent announcements of 50 new B&O Play stores under development in China alone. Ultimately, the more chances we have for customers to experience the product, both in B&O Play and automotive, the more we are able to keep our message on point as a luxury technology. To sum up, not only is a European luxury identity helpful, it is paramount to our brand to survive. There will always be a bigger, faster, cheaper solution, but to hold those values as your only competitive advantage means that you can be easily passed by someone else and ultimately disappoint the consumer that bought based on those simple goals. If you put true thought in how one uses a consumer item and customer identifies with it on many levels, you have a customer for life. And that to me is what a European luxury is about. Thank you.
Thank you. So, we have time for questions. Yes, please. Yes.
Hello? Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Bensadon. I'm originally from Spain, living in the US now, studying Babson College. So I have two questions. One is obviously business, because I study in Babson. So competing with brands, for example, like Cartier or Louis Vuitton, that take a very long time to achieve this luxury fashion, and that it takes a long time to get really into the market. How have both Dolce & Gabbana and Jimmy Choo done this so fast? And also, I'm guessing that the beginning years are hard. You don't know, a lot of people don't know about your brands. How do you guys deal with those, let's say, top 1, 2, 3 years where maybe the profits are not coming as fast as you would think? And how do you get to what you've gotten to?
So how do you build a brand quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
So for Dolce & Gabbana was actually, let's say, easy because the designer were really talented. And by the moment they started, they were discovered by the Chamber of Fashion in Italy, and the success was immediate. They started immediately to be famous, to be wanted by the American market. So our case was, let's say, a lucky case. Both the designer are really genius, talent people, like can be Steve Jobs that was just mentioned. So, this is in terms of how they've been famous. Of course, the first years were not easy, and I understand your point of view. And one of the, I cannot tell you how much they've been helped, because there were no help for them, but they were luckier in a way, because at that moment in 1985 the competition was not higher as today. So what we did, which is I think for the young generation one of the greatest things the designer could do, was to help new designers to become famous. because they know how hard it is. So they build a store, which is in Milan, in Corso Venezia, two in Via della Spiga, very famous street for fashion, where we showcase only newcomer designers. And I actually pushing that happen also in the United States soon, because this is something that is very special. And we have someone today that is having a lot of success. His name is Puglisi, and you can Google and see how important it is.
Yeah. I think on a serious note, how do you actually make your brand known and why? I think the reality is it starts by products. Brand is a consequence of products. Brand is a consequence of innovation. I think your happy teacher is definitely all about innovation. And I think the key message which we are all trying to establish today, and that's what Europe has been very successful to continue, is that it's all about luxury, is all about innovation, and what should really strongly underline that, innovation and craftsmanship. It's this balance, this tension in between the two, because craftsmanship is all about history, is all about experience, and innovation is all about newness, all about discovering, and it's this tension in between the two which makes your brands desirable, where you create the imagination, the dream, and the fantasy. So it's down to designers, but it's also down to productions. Like everybody else, we are also fully produced and exclusively in Italy, because this is where there is a tradition, as was given in many, many speeches. The challenge for actually luxury brands in their development is not the beginning, because very often those brands, they all come from designers which are having a passion. Sometimes they have this passion with a businessman. Very often they are discovered by the press. The beginning is easy. You create a few collections. Your business is moving with some wholesale. It's all good. The tension and the difficulty of any luxury brand is when you are starting to be global. Global means logistics. Global means control your network. Very often it's down to opening stores. And opening stores is where in reality this becomes different, because this is a different work. This is a different business. You become retailer. You are investing in stores. So the brands, and that's this tension from being actually a very creative force but small into being a very global brand, which is actually the difficult path for most luxury brands. It's anybody who is, in terms of money, the threshold is when you are reaching above 50, 80 million euros to go to above 200. Above 200, you have a very stable business established with shops. Below 80 million euros, you have a lot of brands which are in wholesale. The challenge is in between the two. This is where you need a lot of cash to invest in, because, it helps. And this is where it's all about. The battle is to transform yourself from actually a wholesale partner into a retail partner. Very good.
And very quick second question, because it's really popular. Basically, this is for all of you. Pierre, you were saying that, for example, now 30% of the luxury sales are in Europe. But of course, I worked in a jewelry and watch luxury store, and you can see first it was the Japanese, they come, everybody would jump on top of them, then the Brazilians, then the Russians, now it's the Chinese. What do you think this is going to go moving forward, or what are you guys doing knowing that China is this big market, and are you also looking into Latin America? What trends do you think are coming next?
I think as expressed by everybody here, first of all, you shouldn't be over-dependent on China. For example, our brands, we have actually we just started China 3 months ago. So, so for us, it's totally new. Is it something which is going to be the only way of development? No, first of all. Secondly, yes, you should always have a global vision. I think global vision is not only in terms of development, it's also in your team, in your philosophy, in your approach. And yes, there are definitely other regions. Latin America is very important for us. I'm just signing right now to make a subsidiary in Russia, because it's a very important market to us as well. I think you need to, as rightly mentioned before, you need to, first of all, balance your development. There will be ups and downs. The only let's say, perhaps a challenging assertion I would make compared to what was said before is that having lived a long time in China, I'm a true believer in their success and for a long time, and I have a tendency to believe that perhaps more Europe that has to change its business model than China, but that's a personal vision. Maybe I've been there too much. But I think it's, apart from that, you have to really balance, and definitely there is opportunity for Latin America, but Middle East and many other countries. You should not be over-dependent on one region, even for your client base, so that your brand is not perceived to be too much European, too much Chinese, too much whatever. You should have a real balance in your clients.
Thank you. Let's go to the left here. Yes.
Hi, thank you so much for coming to speak to us. I'm a first-year student at the Harvard Business School. My question was relating to this last question. How do you, given the rising importance of emerging countries, I was wondering, how have you changed your design to maybe answer the cultural tastes of those new emerging customers? And do you feel that by doing that, you might lose some of your brand differentiation and the tradition that Mrs. Marchioni mentioned?
Jan Patrick, you've lived in the region as well, so
Yes.
what have you done?
You should never,
Voilà.
never change your design because you want to please a customer. You want to be true to who your brand is. As I said earlier, you're selecting your customer, and your